What is going on, guys? Today I'm coming at you with the Speed Duel Streets of Battle City. So earlier this week we got box breaks by several creators, and I was pleasantly surprised by the contents of the box. Not because the boxes were necessarily good, but because I made like several correct predictions months ago when the box was announced. We got a lot of things that I thought we would get, we got a lot of things that I've been wanting to get, and we also got stuff that I'm surprised wasn't already in Speed Duels. Notably, some things that I predicted incorrectly was we didn't get reprints of the Magnet Warrior cards, unfortunately, and we didn't get reprints of things like the Landstar cards, or we didn't get printings of the Landstar cards, or Flying Kamakiri. Flying Kamakiri is a big one that I've been wanting. Unfortunately, we just didn't get it. I was also pretty correct on the skills. We did get a lot of new skills that revamped older archetypes. We'll get into the skills later, but let's just go ahead and get on into each of the cards. Now, I'm not 100% caught up to what we have in Speed Duels and what we don't. I've been out of Speed Duels for a while, but maybe with this box I'll be a little bit excited. So we've got Dark Magician, but more importantly we have Skilled Dark Magician. This is just a 1900 normal summon that can sack itself for Dark Magician. You're usually not getting that far, but this gives you a reason to play things like the Tune cards. You can Tune Table into Tune Table into Tune Table and sack for Dark Magician. Alchemist of Black Spells is a very interesting card once per turn. Yeah, so this just lets you recycle spell counters. There is a skill that also recycles spell counters, so Breaker the Magical Warrior is going to go crazy even though it's on the limited list. Blast Magician is another card that just goes crazy with a lot of spell counters. Yeah, you just get to pop cards. Dark Magician Girl, we already have that. I believe we already had Buster Blader, but I did not expect to have such an emphasis on Buster Blader, let alone for it to get its own skill. We are getting Skilled White, but we're also getting Dark Paladin as well as a Buster Blader fusion. Breaker, Apprentice, and Old Vindictive we already had. I couldn't tell you if we had Moth or not, but this Malice Dispersion might be a card that actually does see play in the future, just being a quick play effect. Mage Power we already had, Sword of Poison we already had, Spell Power Grasp. That's an interesting card. This is basically just a spell counter card. Destruction Swordsman Fusion is a crazy card. It's obviously a fusion, but it's also a quick play fusion. And then it has a graveyard effect where you can, let's see. It has a graveyard effect where it adds itself back. So this is just a crazy fusion card. You can obviously do things like poke with Buster Blader and then Destruction Swords Fusement into the Dark Paladin. Miracle Restoration's a bad card, but we have it now. Pitch Black's Power Stone, I believe, is similar. Yeah, it's not really all that good. Ready for Intercepting is a card that was playable a long time ago, but it's just not playable anymore. And then we have Dark Paladin. So if you guys haven't read the skill for Dark Paladin, it is insane. And we'll get into the skills later, but just trust me, it's insane. I think Dark Paladin will become the new Destiny in Dragoon kind of deck, although I'm surprised that deck kind of fell off. That deck seemed to have the strongest resource loop in the game after exactly Giant Rat, but whatever. Gearfried, very cool card. Marauding Captain, I believe we already had it. I know we had Time Wizard. We didn't have Rocket Warrior. Rocket Warrior is just one of those classic cards that's cool to be in the game. Little Wingard is a card, not really all that good. Command Knight's not really important. Freed's a card. Alligator Sword and Baby Dragon are just kind of cool. Roulette Spider, I'm glad we got Roulette Spider. It'd be very awkward if we didn't get Roulette Spider, considering this is one of like the most famous moments from Battle City. That wasn't like, a big climactic duel, it's just a duel. Dice Spoon, I believe, was a card we already had, but we didn't have Graceful Dice. Poly, Rhoda, Lightning Blade, United We Stand, all fine cards. Plasma Chain, I believe, was a card we had. Against Skull Dice is a card that we didn't have. Unfortunately, these are both very bad cards. Graceful Dice is at best a worse Rush Recklessly, and Skull Dice is at best a worse Forbidden Lance. So it doesn't really make sense. Kunai with Chain, though, pretty good battle trick, actually. Then we have, some just other cards. We have Carbone the Warrior, Guilty of the D-Knight, Flame Swordsman, Alligator Sword, and Thousand Dragon. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you actually can't summon any of these normally. You might be able to summon one or two of them normally, but I'm pretty sure not. I'm pretty sure the only way you get these out is the skills. Onto Mako's deck, we have Legendary Fisherman. We knew this was going to be in here. Air Orca is an insane card. I'm really surprised we got Air Orca. Same thing with Flying Fang and Needle Sunfish. These two cards aren't that insane, but Air Orca is a very strong card. Oystermeister. Oystermeister is a card that will go crazy when we get synchros, obviously. It was crazy in Fish Synchro, but it is also just a very strong Monarch style card, where you can, if this survives a turn, or you get it off a Recruiter, you can sack this for a Monarch, then you can sack the token for something, it's a card that can do a lot. Piercing War is a card I've never actually seen before, but it's a really bad card, it seems. Maiden of the Aqua is not a good card, but we have it. Fiend Kraken, cool first printing of this card. 7-colored fish. We have Login now, so that's cool. Legendary Fisherman 2, we kind of expected to be in here. We had this already. We wanted Legendary Fisherman 3, but Legendary Fisherman 2 is fine. Fortress Whale, we expected. We were kind of hoping to get the new Citadel Whale, but that card's probably too strong. I believe we already had Salvage, Umi, Water Hazard, Big Wave, Small Wave. We might not have had Surface. I think we might have had Salvage, but not Surface. Fortress Whale, those obviously. Tornado Wall is crazy. Fish Depth Charge might be a card that does see play. It's essentially Gemini Spark, but instead of being a quick play, it's a normal trap, which might be playable. Paleozoic Eldonia. This was a card that I was actually very surprised to see. It's not good, it's just a battle trick. But the fact that we got a Paleo is kind of cool. Onto the Weevil deck, we have Insect Queen. I did predict this. I pretty much knew we were going to get Parasite. I didn't say it, but it just kind of makes sense. I'm very surprised to see Chainsaw Insect, but at the same time, it's not like it can't be in the game. It's a very bad card. We don't have Skill Drain. We don't have a lot of cards that negate effects. The only one we have is Lost Wind, and you're not going to Lost Wind your own guy. Magnetic Mosquito might actually be a very playable card. This might see some play in side deck text, depending on what does see play. Prickle Fairy is another very interesting card. It kind of just lets you, if you use like the DNA Surgery type cards, lets you basically create a floodgate. These are the two cards that I'm surprised we got over Flying Kamakiri. That would be Howling Insect and Resonance Insect. In reality, this actually makes a lot of sense because having generic insect support is probably better for Weevil's deck than having generic wind support, because as you might notice, a lot of these aren't winds, they're actually earths. But irregardless, it kind of makes sense. Parasite Paranoid, I'm annoyed to see this get a reprint, but I guess it does kind of still need one. Pinch Hopper is actually a kind of interesting card. We also have Insect Princess. I love this card, not for any reason, just because it's the weirdest card ever that saw play in the anime. There was an Insect Duel in GX, so interested to see this. Gokibor we knew about, or we didn't know about Gokibor, but I think we already had it. Same thing with Metal Armored Bug. Multiplication of Ants is a really strong card that can set up for Insect Queen. Same thing with the Insect Barrier, and this is the card that I'm actually really excited about, Verdant Sanctuary. This, when you combine it with Resonance Insect and Howling Insect, creates an incredibly strong advantage engine. It's just a question of whether or not we can capitalize on that. Eradicating Aerosol, we already had that. I believe we also had Spider's Eggs. Don't think we had DNA Surgery. Glad to see Dust Tornado and Widespread Ruin. This will take the place of Wall of Disruption as the go-to battle trick. Um, I think the only card that's really comparable is Shrink and Rising Energy, both of which aren't quite as good. Widespread Ruin is very, very strong. Jinzo, sure, we get the reprint. It's unfortunate that it's on the list, but it is on the list. But Jinzo Lord, I did actually correctly predict this. So, very cool that we get this. And then, yeah, it's Jinzo, but slightly stronger, and the fact that we also get Jinzo Returner means that we do actually have a way to consistently get to Jinzo and then get to Jinzo Lord, but I don't think it's actually playable. Reflect Bounder is a very interesting card. This will make a lot of people flame, but whatever. Destructotron. Destructotron is an insanely cool card that I'm very happy to see we got a printing of. However, without Brain Research Lab and only 4,000 life points, it's not actually all that strong, but it is quite cool. Dr. Frankenderp is just another interesting card that, while not very good, it's a card that we have now. Fiend Mega Cyber. I'm actually quite happy to see this because it is Cyber Dragon, but worse, but also better because it's higher attack, but your opponent has to control 2 monsters. And with Cyber Dragon, I think it's no longer on the list, so it doesn't really matter as much. But I always liked this card in the anime. I thought it was cool. Spellcaster I believe we had Cyber Raider. Golgoyle is apparently a card that a lot of collectors have been wanting, but I don't really care. Then we have some of the actually good Jinzo cards. We have Cyber Energy Shock, which is a negate and is a battle trick for Jinzo monsters. It's Jinzo specifically, so it doesn't work on the Returner or Lord. We have Cosmic Channeling, which is a crazy card for Jinzo. We already had Amplifier, I believe. Gift of the Martyr, Foolish Burials, just a good reprint. Same with Cosmic, same with Creature Swap. Psychic Shockwave is an insane card in the sense that you just get to cheat Jinzo out from your deck. Mind Crush, great reprint, love Mind Crush. Draining Shield is a very interesting card. Onto the Rare Hunter deck, we have Red Eyes. I'm very glad we got the good artwork of Red Eyes. I was very disappointed in the Shadow Rider box when we got the annoyingly bad artwork of Red Eyes. We have Gear Gold and the Moving Fortress. This is just a card. Volta King. It's fine. It's a weird win condition. Airnight Parshath is just another card. Dark Red Enchanter, Twin Barrel Dragon, Hannibal Necromancer, Mask of Darkness, Sphere Karibo. Honestly, all the Rare Hunter cards just look like reprints apart from these two. And to be fair, they were needed reprints. We needed a lore. I don't think we have this card, Ledger of Ledgerman, but whatever. Twister, Nightbeam, Nobleman, Pineapple Blast. I believe this is the first printing of Metalmorph. Michizuri is a good card. Forceful Checkpoint, Floodgate, yeah. Before we get onto the Arcana cards, you will notice something very important. We did not get Exodia. I'm kind of happy about this because, in all honesty, it would have been very, very weird to have Exodia as a playable strategy. It actually would have been very playable because we have things like Rhoda, Diamond Dude, End of Annihilation, or whatever, that card that says draw 3 if you have 7 darks in your grave. It would have been a very, very strange situation. I believe this is next the Arcana cards. So a lot of these ghost cards are actually very, very interestingly strong. Yeah, so Chao Sai, the Ghost Stopper, is just a 1900 normal summon that prevents graveyard effects of spell traps. Chao Len the Prophet is just a card that lets you kind of stop your opponent from using spells. Anarchist Monk Roshan is kind of a DD Crow, but when it leaves the field by an opponent's card. Mao Kaiku, Master of the Barriers. This lets you pop, it's a lone fire that pops a spell and trap, a continuous spell and trap. Kaiku's obviously Kaiku. Legion we had, Double Custom we had, Seal Master I believe we didn't have, and there's actually some pretty cool stuff you can do with Seal Master. Anti-Magic Arrows, very, very interesting card. Basically stops battle tricks, which with this you might argue that Wall of Destruction could come back, but I'm not sure. Talisman of Trap Ceilings is just kind of a card. I don't really want to say it's good. Dark Magic Curtain, Thousand Knives, Dark Magic Attack, Summoner's Art. Talisman of Spell Sealing is just another kind of good spell card stopper, but eh. Birthright. Birthright is actually a very interesting card, especially when we get more Geminis. This is actually very good with the Ill Blood that we got in the last box, so quite interesting. Dark Renewal, and then we get on to strings. We have Slifer, the Jam cards, Muka Muka, yeah. Good card here is Mother Grizzly. I think we did get Mother Grizzly in the last box, but I'm happy we for sure have it now. Emergency Provisions is a card that will probably come up eventually as a good card. Token Sunday is interesting. I just like the card. Solemn Wishes, also very interesting. And then Token Stampede is kind of a strong card, not really. Whose is this again? Oh, I think we're just getting onto the generic cards. So we finally have Summon Skull. Not really important, but we finally have it, so that's kind of cool. Brain Crusher, never seen this card before. It's a not a monarch that does monarch stuff. Chaos Command Magician is an interesting card, but not really all that good. Cross Sword Beetle. It's fine. Gearfree the Red Eyes Iron Knight is an interesting card for the Red Eyes archetype, but I'm not sure how playable Red Eyes is with this. Goblin Attack Force is a really strong card, but also really bad. Maiden of Macabre is just another spell counter card. Magical Marionette is yet another spell counter card that I'm not sure of. Pump Princess, the Princess of Ghosts, is a really cute card, believe it or not. I actually think it's kind of cute. And it might see some play here and there, but I'm not confident in it. Red Eyes Baby Dragon is an insane card for the Red Eyes archetype. I believe we did get Black Metal in the last set. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we got Black Metal. So that does give us some stuff to do. Reversible Beetle. It's a column card. It's a Book of Moon. That's interesting. Warrior of Atlantis is a legendary ocean searcher, so that's kind of nice. We have Zera the Mance, which, if you don't remember, was played by the possessed bandit Keith at the beginning of the Battle City arc, so makes sense. Acid Rain is an interesting card that I've never actually seen before. It's essentially a worse system down. We're getting Book of Taiyu. I'm not sure if we had that. We're getting Exchange, Last Day of Witch, Megaton Cannon. Really powerful card for Diamond Dude, but I don't think we're going to be seeing Diamond Dude. Rail Behind the Door is an insane card for whatever deck that comes that does burn damage. Exhausting Spells, not going to see any play. Magical Arm Shield is a battle trick that might come up. We're getting Blowback Dragon, reprints. I don't remember if we had these two Dark Scorpion cards. We might not have. Skilled Red, Legendary Ocean, Book of Moon, Fusion Weapon, Hammer Shot, Lost Wind, Metal Reflex Slime. This is actually a very, I believe we already had it, but also a very cool card, and Wall of Disruption. Overall, this set, I was kind of right. I originally said this set is going to be a lot of reprints, and it is, but it also introduces a lot of very cool new cards. We have Insect Queen, we have some new Legendary Ocean stuff. Speaking of which, we can get on into the skills. So I did go and take a look at some of these skills before. I took a look at this whole thing before. Some notable skills, so I'm just gonna, you can find this page if you want to really look through it. We have the Ultimate Wizardry skill. This is the Spell Counter skill. This lets you place a spell counter on activation, and then once per turn, you can place a spell counter. So if you want, you can normal summon Breaker, flip this skill, use the effect to place a third counter. You have a 2500 attack Breaker, or you can essentially treat it as 3 MSTs. Iron Grid is a terrible card, but it's kind of funny that they gave Gearfried the Iron Knight specifically a skill. Whale of a Tale is an insane card. Discard a card, add a Fortress Whale or Fortress Whale's Oath. That is really strong. And then Fortress Whales give all your water monsters spell trap immunity. So that's, well, it prevents them from targeting. So you can still run into a wall disruption because that doesn't target, but now they can't shrink your guys, they can't rising energy your guys, or, well, they can do that, but anyway, the point is it gives you protection, which was the biggest problem with Fortress Whales. It was a big commitment for nothing. Insect Infestation is a parasite card, and it is a legendary ocean for level 7 or higher insect monsters. Oh no, okay, so it lets your level 7 or higher insect monsters attack directly, and then you can give your opponent parasite. It's funny, but not very good. Intel the Cosmos is a very interesting card. Basically makes your opponent and you, or no, it's just your opponent, play with Eye of Truth, I believe that card was. Anyway, very strong card. Your opponent reveals every card they draw during their draw phase. Stalked by a Rare Hunter. You basically just get to reborn your opponent's monsters. We have the card that everyone is laughing about, which is the Now You See Them, which lets you shuffle back Dark Magicians to draw cards. You can either draw 1 if you shuffle back 1, 3 if you shuffle back 2, or 5 if you shuffle back 3. Is this going to see play? Probably not, but is it very funny? Yeah. The Slimy Slimes, it's like fine. It's like a fine card, but you do have to... It lets you pop your own Dram Breeding Machines to pop a spell trap, so it's essentially a Raigeki break. And then you get to draw 3 cards by Revival Jam, so you can combine it with Solemn Wishes, you're not killing yourself every turn. This is the skill that I'm actually really excited about, Unspur Turn. If you didn't know, that means 9 times per turn. No, it's just a copying error. Once per duel, you can discard a card, add then fusion summon monster that matches Buster Blader, bring hand or field as material. While you control Buster Blader as a fusion monster, all monsters become dragons. So this gives you access to the fusion whenever you want it, but it also just gives your Dark Paladins extra attack consistently, and then you already have the insane fusion spell, so this is a very interesting skill. I would keep my eye out for this. Heart of a Warrior, this is what summons those fusions. I don't think it's very good. You can't use this for Monarch plays. None of the fusions have effects. The best you can do is summon Guilty of the D-Knight and equip it with Fusion Weapon, which isn't actually all that good. I think you'd rather just play Destiny and Dragoon Turbo. Bountiful Ocean, another card that I'm actually kind of excited about. While Umi's on the field, non-affected water monsters are unaffected by non-water monster effects. Once per turn, you can add a water monster from your graveyard to your hand, but you can't activate effects until you normal summon that card. So this lets you do a lot of kind of legendary ocean stuff that you were able to do before, just slightly better. My Precious Queen, this is a skill that I literally predicted, where this is just token generation for Insect Queen. You can normal summon with 1 less tribute. During the end phase, special an insect token. Token can be tributed except for the tribute summon of an insect monster. Tribute an insect monster from your hand instead when attacking with Insect Queen. This is literally just a skill that I predicted, so very cool. Machine Menace. This gives you access to Jinzo consistently, which is important if you want to get to things like Jinzo Lord, and it's especially important considering Jinzo, I believe, is at 1. However, your opponent has to have a face-up trap, so even though it's more consistency to get to Jinzo, it's really not consistency. It's relying on your opponent to do something, and if you're relying on your opponent to do something, you're not actually it's not actually consistent. Collector, this is a very interesting skill. I will say this is an incredibly interesting skill. If you can ditch a spell and a monster to add a trap, you can ditch a spell and a trap to add a monster, you can ditch a monster and a trap to add a spell. It's contingent on you having those cards, however, but it's still a really interesting skill, and I wonder if we could do anything with that. Slimy Deposition, this just basically lets you make Humanoid Worm Drake. It's kind of bad. Terrible Fate, I believe this is Delinquent Duo, but by attributing a spellcaster you control. It's not actually all that good. Kybercorp Research. It's a generic skill, I guess you could say. Yeah, it's kind of generic, but not really all that good. Battle City Siren, I was so excited when I saw my on a skill, but then I was so depressed when I saw it. Not only was it not a Harpy skill, it was also just a skill that, or we didn't get any of the new Harpy cards, so I'm still going to hold out hope that we might get a Battle City Finals box or something like that does have some of the Harpy cards that I think we're missing for the deck to be playable. However, this really just puts me off, and like, either we're just not going to get it, or when we do get it, it's not going to be playable. But anyway, this lets you change the attack position of monsters, and then it lets you, but then you have to attack that monster that you changed. And then finally, Premature Material, reveal a fusion monster from your extra deck, special normal monster for your graveyard who's mentioned on that card. I have no idea what this supports, I really don't, but I think it's just one of those kind of generic skills. I guess it supports the Great Man with a Gold Fine, because this is a bones skill, but I don't know what this is really helping out. Anyways, so that was kind of a long, just me talking. Unfortunately, I'm excited for this box because I think it could do a lot, but I think it's just not quite what I wanted. I would have liked to see some of Mai's Harpy cards support. I would have liked to see things like Flying Kamakiri. I don't think we needed more Magnet Warrior cards. I've played against that deck a little bit, and it's just kind of really strong, so I don't love it. I am surprised we did only get Slifer, however. I did predict that if we don't get it here, we'll get it in another box sometime later, hopefully the next box. But it looks like we're going to be another year before we get into Synchro Summoning. So unfortunate for me and the Edison crew who just want to play sanctioned Edison events, but this will not be Edison, not with all the insanely powerful legacy support that we are getting. So that'll be all from me, guys. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, and tell me down in the comments what you liked about this set. Are you excited for speed duels? Think you're going to pick this up and play it? I think the card that I'm excited for most is Widespread Ruin. Absolutely insane, phenomenal card. But yeah, with that, that's all for me, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!